They just crept it out, and it's like, have fun. It's like, we wanted to.
Hello and welcome to the Part-Time Gamers, the gaming podcast for people with full-time lives. I'm Cyranex, clocking in with my good friend, That One Weirdo.
To all my NFL fans who are sad that we don't have football, do me a huge favor. Don't go on Prize Picks and bet on golf. Do not be that person. Please, I beg of you.
So I'm pretty sure I legit actually hurt my neck grooving out to the music at the beginning of the show.
What?
It's called age, says the younger guy in the show.
I intend to live forever, and so far, so good.
Just remember, birthdays are healthy for you, or healthy for you. The more you have, the longer you live. Yeah. Anyway,
is that how that works?
It works out that way somehow.
You're like the elder statesman now. Like, you're hurting your neck. You're throwing out sage-like wisdom. Next, for my birthday, you're going to write me a $12 check. This is great.
Yeah, you're getting prunes for your birthday, so.
Anyway. Thank God. Finally. I've hinted for so long.
Well, there is a certain point in your lifetime when getting socks for as a present is legitimately a good present. I have already been there for years, so I actually look forward to getting socks for Christmas.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And I have leaned into, as an older gentleman of sorts, I have leaned into this older person trait. I said older, not old.
Close enough.
I now go to when I go to different restaurants, I now judge them against one item on the menu. I'll only order that one thing. I tell myself that I'm going to order other things if I go back. And ultimately, it's like, it's like there's other stuff on the menu. Hey, you want to try something else? No. I want the French dip sandwich. And it is the French dip sandwiches that I tend to base my critiques on.
Yeah.
I've really reached that age where I just, stay in that lane. What's comfortable? Like, furniture shopping online has become exciting. Like, what happened?
Yeah.
If coupons were still just paper, I would clip those.
Yeah.
But now we have coupon codes.
Yeah, that's also true.
I'd keep one of those rubber coin purses that splits down the middle. I've turned it to my parents.
So when I worked at a restaurant, that I actually had a little coin purse that I kept with me because it was actually legitimately useful because of all the change we got and everything had to make and everything. But yeah, that was the end of that thought.
Close enough.
Yeah. That's another thing when you get older. The first thing that goes in memory, I forget what the next ones are. Let's go ahead and get into our icebreaker.
Nice of you to drop by.
Never heard that one before.
All right. So because of the game we're going to be talking about a little bit later, I thought this would be kind of an interesting question. We've asked the question, what reality show do you want to be on? But this one is specifically, what is your favorite game show and why?
Ooh.
And I put this in there about half an hour ago, and even now I'm trying to think of what would be my favorite game show, because I don't really watch a whole lot of game shows anymore. So I know some of the big ones like Price is Right, Jeopardy, Wheel of Fortune, all the mainstays, but I was trying to think of
So I don't watch game shows the way I used to. I used to adore them. And I think through the passage of time, I think one thing that has changed, because there was something about the hosts that were so larger than life. They knew they were ridiculous in such a way to where they held the show together. Because let's be honest, some of the game shows, when you look at this stuff, it's pretty bad. But it's meant to be mostly, at least back then, when I was growing up with game shows, it was daytime TV. So it was all meant to be kind of niche, but it's weird how it spoke to a large crowd, but during the day you would have more of a focused crowd. but millions of people obviously watch this stuff. So when I think of like game shows, I think of like Wink Martindale and Monty Hall and all these like radio type personalities that are like in your face.
Yeah.
You know, it's like a clean cut like Wolfman Jack. It's not that Wolfman Jack was like, you know, like dirty or anything, but like these game show types were so just they leapt off your screen.
Yeah.
Like there was something about them that was endearing, and even the ones that were scaled back, because you had Dick Clark. He had $25,000 Pyramid back in the day.
Yeah.
So my favorites are twofold. I have two that come to mind of all time. Like I said, I haven't really watched a game show like in a minute.
Yeah.
First one, for those who remember, this is an old one, the Match Game.
Okay.
Yeah. Where they used to do that fire was so hot. How hot was it? You know, like those terrible jokes.
Yeah.
It was hotter than blank. Was your answer Lonnie Anderson? Why, yes, it was. You know, like just ridiculous. And they had these personalities, most of which were TV or movie actors, many of which were washed up.
Yeah.
And they sat on the panel, the dais, if you will, and they were just ridiculous. Like even back then, you were like, these people exist, right? And that was just a joy from just silly reasons. Like I don't know, like Phyllis Diller was always there. I'm like, did she ever leave the studio? Like, did she sleep there? And then Charles Nelson Riley. For those who have to Google it, yes, his name was Charles Nelson Riley. It was 3 names. He could have been a serial killer. The second one was with Peter Tamarkin, and it's Pressure Luck.
Yeah.
Because you just can't beat the silly animation that the players themselves can't see, but they have to look down and pretend that it's there. And then us, the TV watcher, the TV viewer, was, I took all your money. Boom. And that too was just ridiculous. And Peter Tamarkin, who passed not too long ago, was very much the epitome, like up there with Bob Barker, Wink Martindale. That was Tic Tac Toe or Tic Tac Doe. But he, like Peter Tamarkin, was like personified game show host,
Yeah.
like with the coiffed hair and, you know, these white, like just neon ivory teeth. Like he was just fantastic. So, and obviously part of it is they don't make game shows like that anymore.
Yeah.
And now they're all reality game shows. You know, you have like Next Level Chef and Devil's Kit, or what is it? Hell's Kitchen with Gordon Ramsay.
Yeah.
They really just took the jam out of the jelly roll on some of those. Like they just kind of forgot how stupid game shows were supposed to be. Like they just got rid of that. So those are my two. I know there are people who are going to listen to this. They're going to have to Google it because especially like the Match Game, you talk about a product of its time because you had all these actors who seemingly just couldn't do anything else. A lot of them were like locked into TV, kind of like Rick Dalton, you know, the character from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, where, you know, they were on Murder, She Wrote, and then they were on Three's Company, and then they were on The Love Boat, and they only did that. And then they did these terrible game shows. Yeah. So always has a special place in my heart because that daytime TV, like, I mean, you can't even match that anymore because it just doesn't exist.
Yeah, I mean, especially in the age of streaming where like I don't have cable anymore. I don't I don't get like local channels or anything like that. We do everything on streaming. So just for the sake of having an answer, I'd probably have to say Price is Right because I think it's on, it like comes out on Peacock like a day later. So, and my kids, for whatever reason, love this show. They love watching it. They're always rooting for the people to win cars and stuff like that. And So for the sake of having an answer, I'd probably say that. But one other one, I'm trying to remember. Oh, was it Press Your Luck? I think which one's the one with the like the board, the gridded board that has like the different randomized prizes that you have to press a button to pick out, like with the whammies. Is that Press Your Luck?
That was Pressure Luck.
Okay. I kind of like that one also, not necessarily for the game itself, but because of the story. The one guy, like at the beginning of when the series started, who was able to memorize the patterns of the boards because they only had like 4 patterns at the time.
Yes.
And he
Yes.
memorized the patterns and was just like almost bankrupted the show and its winnings.
Awesome.
Yeah, there's this whole thing like I don't remember what profession he had, but he was obviously very intelligent, recognized they only have so many patterns that are for these boards, and he taped the shows, memorized the patterns, practiced on his with his VCR to like get specific prizes, and yeah, eventually it was just like getting so much money that they were like almost bankrupted the show. Really fun story.
So that's awesome. So he was almost like a real life whammy.
Kind of, yeah. Oh, I mean, there's another podcast out there called World's Greatest Con. A little bit of free promotion for them. They're kind of I think on an off season right now, but one of their seasons they went through these different game shows and like the controversies and different things from these, and that was one of the episodes they did was on Press Your Luck, and it's just really fascinating to hear the whole process of it. But yeah, needless to say, after that they started randomizing things a little bit more.
I bet.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
With that,
Game shows. Oh, that was a good one.
yeah. I mean, I figured it was kind of relevant to what we're going to be talking about later. But before before that, let's go ahead and get to our water cooler talk.
You get that thing I sent you?
All right.
Chipotle.
Yeah.
You pay for the food, but you get the runs for free. What a deal. Wholesome show, kids.
Yeah.
Wholesome show.
Yeah. Well, there's poop jokes on it, so obviously it has to be a wholesome show. Let's go ahead and
Poop has form.
Yeah, well, true.
I can't believe I just went there. I apologize. I'm going to go put myself in the corner. That was so bad. I'm
all
not
right.
well. I just
Anyway.
watched Madam Web. I'm having issues.
Yeah. Anyway, getting back on track. Let's go ahead and get into your article about the 10 best DC games. Are there enough games to actually put on the list? Is my question.
Oh, yes. And that joke is absolutely verified. And for those who know, and I've talked at great length about the DC universe, always been near and dear to my heart. Big fan of the comic from way back when. A casual fan of some of the movies because they've gone in places where you're like, wow, you put that on film and paid $350 million for that. Why?
Yeah.
So this list from IGN, it is the 10 top DC games of all time. And yes, there's actually 10 that get on the list. And when you look at this list, let's be fair, because that joke was totally warranted. Some of them feel like they squeeze by. Because number 10 is what is it? DC Villains?
Yeah, Lego DC Villains.
Lego?
Yeah.
Talk about just get that in there.
Yeah.
And of course, like much of DC, where they've gone into different mediums. And even though I trash talk them as much as humanly possible, I still adore them. July 11th, 2025. I am still looking forward to the next Superman movie. The ones that did make the list, many of them are at that level. The Lego DC Villains is actually a lot of fun, like most Lego games. They have their own sense of humor. And they operate in a way that's very family oriented. And a lot of those Lego games, the DC ones, they're fun time wasters. Like, just pick it up, throw it in your Switch, have a good time, go to sleep.
Yeah.
Eat some Cheetos in between. And then little by little, we go through the list. And of course, like, you don't even have to read the article. The ones that make the top end are the Batman Arkhams.
Yeah. like four of the games on this list are Batman Arkham games. So, and then two of them are in the Injustice games, which actually I'm pretty sure I watched the cutscene compilation of the first Injustice game, and it actually has a pretty interesting story. I also watched they had the Injustice cartoon movie, animated movie on Max for a while, and I watched that, and it's kind of interesting seeing that whole side of Superman, because even when he's brutally murderizing an entire warehouse full of Joker impersonators, he's still a paladin, basically. But in his mind is like, I'm destroying evil, just in this case, literally. But anyway, two of the games in there are the Injustice games, and like I said, 4 of them are Arkham games, with the top one being Arkham City.
Yes.
Yeah.
That to this day stands head and shoulders. And there's been so many iterations of obviously DC characters. And it's just interesting to see, because now more than ever, like the last 2 big DC games that come out, holy crapshoot, Batman. You're either going to get it right or you're going to fall on your face and bust your head, because the last 2, Gotham Knights, which I had hope for, and just ended up being kind of bland, which is saying a lot, because from a graphics standpoint, like visually, I was like, okay, you've got me. Yeah. And then you play it and it's a lot of just repetition. And it's just a lot of, you've been there, done that. And you're kind of like, wait, these are the same characters based on properties from a company that pulled off like the Arkhams, the Batmans.
Yeah.
At that level. And then I have no choice but to talk about this. I feel bad. As I discuss this game even very shortly, I can feel my ulcer forming in real time. The new Suicide Squad game. The Madam Web of video games. Oh my Lanta.
I mean, I've watched gameplay, and I actually did watch the cinematics and stuff like that for that game as well, just to see the story of what's going on, and they could have done so much more with it. Oh,
absolutely.
I mean, I'm sure there's going to be DLC. Well, maybe depending on how much money it actually makes, but overall, the gameplay is repetitive. It's not particularly inspired. I mean, even in the realm of like the Batman Arkham games, it is just a step down from that. The graphics are a step down. The story, like, granted, I'm not the biggest DC fan in general. I think I get irritated by Superman because he's the answer to everything all the time, and I just don't like him as a character in general. In the wider DC universe. But and I care even less about the Suicide Squad. It's like,
and there's so much to do there with the Suicide Squad, both movies as well as comics. And Superman, he's had some hit or miss games, and he's very much one of those characters where they try to capitalize and make video games, and all of them have just been way off, because everybody knows, because of course, your character can die in the game, and it's like, but it's Superman. So there's just that fundamental disconnect. And then of course, once again, Superman being one of those characters where nothing can stop him. So how do you base a game around him, and how do you base a storyline? And the fact that I've always loved Superman, because he's always meant to be a symbol of hope and show people what they can do. Yet, paradoxically, he's the only one that can do it because he's not human. Like, I've always loved the message behind him. But as far as comics go, he's like the first Nepo baby, like, hey, look at me.
Yeah. I mean, so there's a Death Battle has done now 3 different videos of Superman versus Goku. Just like they just recently did their third one because once again, both of them have increased power, different powers from the comic books and everything like that. And just like the explanation behind Superman just infuriates me because like in the comic books and such, like the research that they're showing, entire DCU timelines revolve around Superman being present. It's like he's that much of a factor that literally time and space is based around him.
Yes. And Crisis, Infinity Crisis being a great storyline was one of them. Oddly enough, you mentioned that real quick. The new DCU that's being headed up by James Gunn and his producing partner is going to be heavily revolved around Superman as a whole. Hence why James Gunn is taking the lead on the first movie.
On Legacy.
On Superman Legacy, which I still got hope for. DC, I'm literally surrounded, even in this room, with art and pop figures, and they just have a special place in my heart. Like just the characters alone have always felt just more grander. And not to say that I hate DC. I love DC. I mean, not DC, but Marvel. I love Marvel. But for some reason, when I was young and growing up, like the DC characters just spoke to me. So the games on this list are great. And all of them are enjoyable to varied degrees. The Lego ones, the smaller ones, they're very much like, the stuff Part-Time Gamers revolves around in the sense of, hey, it's a good time, go check your brain out.
Yeah.
Shut off your phone, but turn on your Switch. And then you have ones like the Batman Arkhams, which are just so vast, so intricate to such a level where it's like, when they would push dates back for those, I would be like, good.
Yeah.
Good. Take your time.
Yeah.
Good whiskey takes time.
Yeah. I mean, that's a pretty high bar. I've never played any of the Arkham games, but I've always known them to be in high regard.
Absolutely.
And it's just kind of sad to see Suicide Squad take such a step down from those. But anyway, it's still a new game. They're still going to be working on it. There's some theories behind that I've heard about it that are actually kind of interesting. And if they can capitalize on those, it might actually make for a more interesting storyline down the road. But as it is right now, it's just not impressive.
Yeah. 10 minutes of that, and I was like, I'm good.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's go ahead and get to my article. So one of the bits of big news that have been flying around, or rumors that was going around, was that Xbox is going to start making, formerly Xbox exclusive games available on PlayStation and Switch. And the initial response from a lot of people was to get rid of their Xbox. And like a little bit premature. Right now, they're only going to be releasing 4 games. And for a while, those games were not confirmed. There was rumors that would be bigger games like, Halo, Gears of War, those kinds of levels of games going to PlayStation and or Switch. And that's not the case. According to The Verge, the games are Hi-Fi Rush, Pentiment, Sea of Thieves, and Grounded, which were all previously Xbox or Windows exclusive games. Those are going to be going to PlayStation and or Switch. There's not going to be Starfield or the new Indiana Jones game are not going to be going there. So it's kind of this interesting thing because so there's especially on like the Core podcast, which is one that I listen to as well, and frankly steal a lot of information from.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, I've spoken to Scott Johnson. He's okay with it. There's a lot of debate about like which console to buy, and a lot of that debate comes down to, well, what exclusives do they have? The thing is, Xbox in Xbox gaming in general is becoming actually both sides really, Xbox and PlayStation, and we're going to exclude switch from this because Nintendo's off in their own world anyway. But primarily Xbox and PlayStation are starting to realize, at least for like the PC market, that's a huge market that they are just like. Windows is obviously taking advantage of that with Game Pass on computer and releasing some of their games on Steam and stuff like that. PlayStation has yet to really capitalize on a lot of that. They usually do timed exclusives where like they're just going to be releasing Horizon Forbidden West like I think in a month or two, something like that, relatively soon. And that's been out on PlayStation for at least over a year or something like that. They still don't have Thor Ragnarok, God of War Ragnarok on PC yet.
Right.
So it's like they just recently, I think, what was there was a game, I think Helldivers is PlayStation and PC. That's like one of the, I believe I think it's Helldivers. One second. I'm going to make sure this is correct. Just so I can actually.
I mean, that's a great name. It's a great name for a punk band.
Yeah, it's PlayStation 5 and Microsoft Windows. That's Helldivers 2 is like the first game that PlayStation, at least in recent memory, has released concurrently on the PlayStation 5 and on PC. Normally this would be it's like, oh, it's going to be on PS5 for a year and then PC is going to get it. Oh, no, this is the first time they've actually, as far as I recall, done it concurrently. And I hope this is a trend because, I'm a PC player. I don't own a console, period, other than my Switch Lite in the background behind me, which actually you can't see on the stream, but it's behind me on my shelf of games.
It's there.
Yeah. It hasn't been charged in months, but it's there. It exists. But other than that, I don't own a console. I do everything I play on PC. So it's just, yeah, it's interesting to see. More importantly, I think it's interesting to see that Microsoft says that they just want people to play Microsoft games wherever they want. And this is at least is a small step towards really realizing that, towards, showing people, hey, we're willing to put some of these games on other platforms. Granted, they've been out for a year or more, so they're not really new games, but it's a step. I mean, it's not very often that you see first-party games like this going onto the opposing console. So I think it's an interesting step.
Absolutely.
It'd be interesting to see where they go. Like this, they're still going to have some exclusives. They're going to be focusing a lot on Game Pass. And so there's still going to be games that are going to be only available on Game Pass still. But it is kind of interesting to see that step towards unification of the games, of the gamosphere. All right. Well, before we get back to work, I'd like to mention our Patreon. Patreon.com/PTGcast. If you like what you're hearing and you'd like to help us out with our paychecks, you can go there, drop us $1, $5, $10. It all helps us out. And it gives you some special benefits, like you get to hear our discussion about how Madam Web is, in fact, terrible.
Boy.
Get to hear our pre-show, our post-show, and all that kind of stuff. So that is at Patreon.
That movie is bad for your health.
It will make you dumber for watching it. I think that's...
They should put that on the poster.
Yeah. As patreon.com/PTGcast. With that, let's go ahead and get back to work.
Morning break is over. Morning break is over.
All right. As we sort of mentioned or alluded to earlier, we're going to be talking about... this is going to be the last game for our team shooter theme. And we were alluding to a game show earlier. So we're going to be talking about the finals, which... I know Theo might be a little bit excited about to talk about this game. If you look carefully, you might be able to tell that.
I'm glowing and giddy, and I never use those two words together until now.
Yeah. So, developed and published by Embark Studios. It is free to play on Xbox, PlayStation, and Windows via Steam. So it goes with the Battle Pass kind of I can't think of words all of a sudden. Oh,
That one.
model. That's what I meant to say. Oh, where you can pay for a premium Battle Pass. I have not. You don't really need to. Most of it is cosmetics and stuff like that. Doesn't really affect
Yep.
the gameplay, which I think is what a Battle Pass should be. So if you want to, you don't have to spend any money in it. But this is a basically match what we were talking about, a game show and team shooters. It's a game show inspired team shooter. Think along the lines of like Running Man, which I'm kind of sad to say I've never actually watched. I might have to.
What?
Now. As Theo just ends the call. Anyway, I'm
This is worse than the Madam Web. This news. What do I do with this?
all right. I'll have to watch that. But from what I've heard, at least it kind of like inspired by Running Man.
Yes.
Where everyone is competing in this big arena, and it's this whole game show like mentality, game show like feel, and but they make it all seem like it's basically like a simulation. It's not actually real life. You're not actually going out and killing people, but you're doing it in this like simulated world. So what really differentiates this game from a lot of other team shooters, especially even the two that spoke about previously, the Gears of War 5 and what did we talk about? Exoprimal. The environments in this game are almost entirely destructible.
Yes.
So we'll get a little bit more into that in a little bit, but it vastly changes the way you play the game. So specifically, there are two game modes. There's like a tournament mode as well, but specifically for like quick play, there's two different game modes. First is called Quick Cash, where you're playing as there's 3 teams of 3 that are competing to deposit a cash box worth $10,000 into a cash out station. The first team to get to $20,000 wins. So pretty simple. You get 2 cash outs, you win. So the thing is, there's only a single cash out or a single cash box on the level. And when it comes up, it shows it to all the teams. You have to race and try to grab it, get to a cash out station. Once you get to a cash out station, though, it takes several minutes for it to finally cash out. And in that time, other teams can come in and hack the cash out station and try to steal your money.
Yes.
So you got to try to defend it. Oh, it's just hectic because you got 3 teams trying to compete for it. And whoever has control of this cash out station, whenever the process is finished, gets the reward, gets the money. So you could hold it for 98% of the bar and lose it in the last 2% and lose out on the reward. So it's very interesting because you have that back and forth, but especially going back to the destructible environments. In this kind of scenario where you have to where normally in a game you'd hunker down, you put up shields and try to construct some kind of walls and everything, try to back yourself into a defensible location. It's like, okay, you do that, but you're on the second floor of a building. Someone comes underneath and blows out the floor from beneath you, and all your defenses are useless.
Yep.
So
That's part of the fun.
yeah, I mean, and that's one thing that I really need to wrap my head around when I play this game, because I've played shooters where the environment's not destructible. So it's like, okay, I'm at the cash out station. I'm going to build walls around it and try to protect myself. Oh, where's the floor?
What floor?
Yeah, exactly. And you can do some serious, like I've seen entire buildings get knocked down in this game.
Uh-huh.
Oh, we'll get into it a little bit later, but like one of the classes can just run through buildings, just Hulk smash through buildings, and it's awesome. Oh, so it really adds to that strategy, because you have to think on your feet, just like, okay, they might come out from underneath us, they may come out from above us. It's more frantic. It's less about defending a single location indefinitely. You just gotta try to get good and try to sneak in there when you can. The other game mode in Quick Play is called Bank It, which is a little bit more kill oriented. Where Quick Cash is obviously objective based. Bank It, 4 teams of 3 are competing to deposit coins. Each coin is worth $1,000. They're trying to take them to different cash out stations. The first team to successfully deposit $40,000 wins. So it's a higher goal. You have to get 40 coins between your team. There are coin boxes that spawn at random locations on the map, and players need to collect those coins and deposit them into those cash out stations. They hold on to them until they get to deposit them into the cash out stations. But if a player is holding coins, they have a glowing golden trail of coins following them. So the more coins they're carrying, the longer that trail is. So you're holding a bunch of coins, and everyone that like around you can see, oh, he's holding a lot of coins, we need to get him. So the more coins you're holding, the more of a target you become. And you have to try to get them to that cash out station. Once you get them there, it's secure. You score those points. You're not going to lose them anymore. But if you're killed while you're holding coins, not only do you lose all the coins you're holding, you actually drop an additional coin for each kill. And those can be picked up by other players. So it's a lot less of that objective-based gameplay of Quick Cash. It's a little bit more just you get rewarded for kills. So it's much more like almost team deathmatch style gameplay with that coin mechanic. So those are the 2 primary quick play modes. Which one do you prefer to play out of those 2?
I prefer the Quick Cash.
Yeah.
And that is just, I mean, well, I could go on about this game for quite some time. But it's very much for me, it's the Quick Cash one. Because it's very much just on point. And obviously it's a little more brisk the whole game is as a whole. But there is so much fun in just this, and this. And it's not to say that the other mode is super intricate. It's all pretty straightforward. But with the first one, it is very much just go, go, go.
Yeah.
And a lot of that just kind of, shooters aren't complex by their very design. So with the Quick Cash, it's just very much on point as kind of that lather, rinse, repeat. But the 2 things as a whole, game-wise, but definitely, Quick Cash, there is this odd enjoyment about if there's somebody going to the station and you kill them, you can grab and collect their coins right then and there and pass their burning carcass
Yeah.
to get and deposit.
Yeah.
There is something about that is enjoyable, cathartic, a little messed up, but it's a virtual game show. It's a virtual shooter.
Yeah.
It's a virtual shooter.
Yeah. Yeah. I can see that. Yeah.
Breaking fourth wall.
Yeah. So yeah, like of those 2 modes, like the only one I've actually played is the Quick Cash. I haven't gotten into Bank It yet. Although part of the reason why I like the Quick Cash more than Bank It is, like I said, Bank It is more of a team deathmatch style game, so you have to make sure you get kills. And the one thing and this is very much a me thing, the one thing I think this game is great in what it does. I have a very hard time playing it because I feel like everyone else in the world is better than I am, and I just get frustrated. Again, this is a me thing. In general, in competitive games, one of the reasons why I don't play a whole lot of competitive games is I get super tilted very easily. And I know this, which is why I prefer co-op or single-player experiences rather than competitive. That being said, with Quick Cash, you don't necessarily have to get the kill all the time. You just need to defend the location. So I like objective. If I am going to play a competitive shooter, I would rather have it be objective based rather than kill based. Which is what Quick Cache is. So that's of the two, that's the only one I played. So yeah. But
Yeah, it's this game. Oh. And you hit it right on the head too. One of the big advantages and disadvantages is everything is up for grabs as far as being destructible, to the point where that can play into strategy.
oh yeah.
Because you can. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, I saw a video. There's one of the, so briefly before I get into it, there's 3 different classes of characters you can play: light, medium, heavy. Light characters are very fast, low health pool. Mediums are kind of middle ground and can fill a support role. They have some healing and defensive items. Heavy characters are tanks, and they also have they move slowly, but they have a large health pool and have a lot of options for destroying the environment. One of their basic weapons is a sledgehammer. And shortly after the finals was released, I saw a video on, I think it was Twitter, that showed there's a map that has these long covered bridges or walkways between 2 high rises. And this heavy is getting chased by a couple enemies, goes to one side, smashes out the floor, the ceiling, the walls around this bridge, and the whole bridge just tumbles down with an entire opposing team in it. You can just do, and like that doesn't respawn. That's how it is for the rest of the game. So the amount of like strategy from destruction is actually really high.
Yes.
And like we were mentioning earlier, it's like, okay, the cash out station's right above me. They're all defending it. I'm just going to take an RPG to the floor and just blow it out from
and blow it out and blow it out from under. And
yeah,
it plays so well into the strategy to where, I mean, not only is it something you have to think about like within the moment, because the game moves. I mean,
it's
that's
fast.
another part of the fun. It is fast, and it's like the Running Man on. I wouldn't even say caffeine. Try Adderall, where it's very much just go go go, and because, I mean, that's part of the excitement. Like the first time I played it, like after it dropped at the VGAs. By the way, when this game came out, it literally was dropped during the VGAs, and it was nonchalant. It was kind of like the way Netflix released the first season of Stranger Things, where it's like, oh, here's this thing. Check it out if you get the chance, between, making your vegan milkshake and, checking your cryptocurrency. If you get a chance, look into this. And then you do, and you're like, wait, you just threw this out all willy-nilly. Like, you should have really pushed this.
Yeah, it seems like it was a game that should have had a bigger announcement than, because I remember I was watching that VGA and like Jeff Keighley is just like, oh, by the way, you can play the finals right now.
Yeah, they literally dropped it during, and I remember when I stumbled across it with the PS5, I was like, oh, there's this game. And talk about something done in such a way to be just, at least from an advertising standpoint or even a release standpoint, so stealth, so under the radar, where you're kind of like, did they just not have faith in this thing? Did they just was it meant to be like this weird kind of gag where it's like, okay, we're going to throw this out at you. It's pretty BA, but not really going to talk about it. But I also know, kind of referencing Stranger Things again, it was very much kind of this grassroots effort where it was like, okay, we're going to put this out, and if you like it, you like it. You don't. But when things like that do gain traction, it's very much a grassroots effort because everybody who saw it, it wasn't hyped up. It was something they watched, they enjoyed, and they connected to.
Yeah.
This game very much kind of goes into that because for a lot of people, me especially, like I didn't know what to expect.
Yeah.
Like when I first saw the finals, I'm like, basketball? what is happening?
Well,
and then you see people in like pink rabbit heads things, and you're like, That ain't basketball.
Yeah, and right now, like a lot of the cosmetics are just kind of weird. Like you can make your character look like basically an Elvis impersonator. There's a black swan like ballet outfit.
That's so good.
Yeah, my guy, because I don't spend money on any kind of cosmetics or anything like that, and I haven't played a super long amount of the game. My guys are all in just like the most basic clothes you can get. They're wearing shorts and t-shirts, and that's it.
Yeah, they're there. They showed up.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We understood the assignment. Oh, but overall, just this game is like we were saying. It's very frantic. It's very fast paced. That being said, It's also feels like a game where you're not necessarily going to get blown out of nowhere. There is, it's definitely got a higher time to kill than like a typical Call of Duty or something like that, where it's, oh, you took a part of a bullet to the face, you're dead instantly. You can take a couple shots in this depending on what kind of class you're playing. Oh, but there is that also that strategy of, okay, what class do I want to play? Oh, because each of the classes function entirely differently, not just in like their speed and their size, but each class has their own unique set of weapons they can choose from. Oh, and each of them have their own specializations, which are activated abilities that they can get. That is very specific to them. So, like for example, I have a couple examples here. Like the lights get a grappling hook, so they add to their mobility. Mediums can get recon senses, which allows them to see through walls. Again, one of those kind of support-oriented ones. They can also get a healing beam, which is, again, very much support-oriented. And the heavies can get, like, a mesh shield. They can get... their starting ability is called Charge and Smash, where literally they just run directly through buildings.
Yep.
So
Truth in advertising.
Oh... And it's so satisfying because, like, if you jump and then activate it, they'll like do a downward smash and just go straight down through a building.
Yeah.
It's really satisfying to just break stuff as a heavy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And just watch it all. Just kind of, because I mean that's part of the beauty. I mean that is literally one of the not just best features, but like outstanding. Like when you look at like other shooters and stuff like that, you know, back in the day there was ones like, you know, you would try to shoot something or someone and you couldn't. And, you know, even with like GoldenEye, you know, okay, you could shoot something, but you really can't shoot it. Or you can shoot it, but you can't really inflict damage to it. And the damage doesn't have, you know, like a Rube Goldberg effect where it's like, yeah, if you do this, you can bring this down. And once again, it plays in to the strategy. But Frantic, the first time I played that game, it made my back fat sweat. That game is a bigger jolt to the system than like 4 Red Bulls in like a funnel. Like it is, and because everything comes at you so fast, graphics solid all the way around, solid, above board, in my opinion, and visually from that level, moving through some of this, I mean, pretty colors. Like there's a lot of that. And I don't know if you played with this part of the game or got to see any of it, but I got to talk about a character that's kind of built into all this. It's Conspiracat. We got to talk about Conspiracat.
Oh, yeah. Now I don't. Yeah. There's one of the... literally a cat that sits on your shoulder that has a tinfoil hat on.
And he says some... And I remember having that moment, and I have them a lot, not just for video games, but I had this moment where that came up, that was an option, and you look at this thing, yeah, he sits on your shoulder and he goes with you everywhere.
Yeah.
Yes, everywhere. And I'm like, my meds are working, right? Like I took those today. This is a cat as is technically your co-pilot with a foil hat saying some stuff that you're not going to blush, but you're just going to go, I don't know who wrote that program or wrote that code, but he should talk to somebody now.
Yeah.
and it adds to kind of, because there's something about this game that's kind of slick as well as irreverent. And a
Yeah.
lot of that plays into like the add-on stuff, like, Out of the Clear Blue. Like, hey, I want to get an RPG and run around in an Elvis outfit, and you can do that.
Yeah.
Conspira Cat plays into that. And being a cat dad, I'm a little sweet on him, where it's like, because there's that part of me, like, my cats, I love them dearly, but let's be honest. Sooner or later, we're going to want to put stuff on a cat's head just to make it like a human. A foil hat is one of them. The other one is, when Dial of Destiny came out, I actually bought the cup with the fedora. Even though it was $15, I bought the fedora to try to put it on my cats.
Sounds
The
about right.
cats were not having it.
That also sounds about right.
Yep.
Oh,
But there's something so great and slick and irreverent about how this is all executed and frantic. I mean,
Yeah.
it might give you heart palpitations because it's just go, go, go. And
yeah.
let's be honest, first person shooters and the ability to talk trash to your friends while doing it, isn't that really what we all want?
Yeah. I mean, like when I get to play, it's usually with randos, and I'm gonna say it's like my win record so far in this game is atrocious. And again, part of it is just I get tilted super easily. But I imagine if I got two of my friends to play and we'd win there as a team, and just like even if just goofing around, just talking trash and everything to each other, be a much more enjoyable experience. However we're doing. But yeah, this game really does require that mental shift of you need to think in 3 dimensions. You need to think, okay, I'm defending this location on this second floor of a building, but again, they can come from above, they can come from outside the wall, they can come from below you. It really gives you this, it really makes you think. It's like, okay, there's, you just have to react. Basically, there's no
Yes.
you can't really plan, because in one swift thing, your entire plan could fall apart. Oh,
Literally.
yeah, like along with the building around you. But so you really have to think on your feet. You really need to, and that's the part I need to work on, because I've played shooters where that's not the case for so long. So I probably will get back to it at some point. Right now I play games a lot like Scott Johnson does, where I can't sit and play a one game for a super long, prolonged amount of time. I bounce around between games. And also, because of this show, because we talk about a different game each week, I'm kind of obligated to bounce around a bunch of games as we go. Currently, I'm back into Satisfactory. I'm actually thinking of making that a regular Friday stream, calling it Status Friday. So, although I'll have to check the spelling of that, because it might appear like Sadist Friday. I'll have to check the spelling. Anyway.
Oh, I like that better.
Well, yeah, I mean, when you play that, you're basically, well, it's more masochism than sadism, but anyway.
So
times.
I've been told.
Yeah. But,
I heard it from a friend who heard it from a friend.
Yeah. So I'll probably will get back to the finals at some point. They've already had a couple updates since I've last played it. I'm hoping, like, they've had balance updates and stuff like that. So maybe it's not quite as bad as when it first started. Might actually be able to compete. But we'll see. And again, it's free to play. There's no reason not to play it. The games are pretty short. So.
And that's what's kind of insane. And it's not to say, like, I mean, people wouldn't pay, money for this. And some of the stuff in between, you would have to acquire and such. But it's crazy to me, and I love options like this that are done well and made available to everyone in such a way, because games, I mean, those who know, and we've talked about it a lot on the show, and part of a lot of what we engage with is accessible at that level, very easily, or rather inexpensive. But this is free. This is literally a game that's done at an above bar level, in most aspects of it, and it literally costs you nothing except a lot of flop sweat. You might fill a chamber of your heart, stop working for a little. It happens. And it's such a good time. Like there's this exhilaration that happens as a whole with first person shooters. This one takes it up there because a lot of the execution, and as we talked about before, the environments being just, I mean,
Yeah.
if you don't like it, break it. It's
Pretty
all
much.
breakable.
Yeah, and also there's like exploding barrels you can grab and throw. You don't even
Yep.
have to have the weapons to actually blow stuff up. You can just grab, oh, just gonna launch that over there. Oh, that building's gone now. Cool.
Yeah.
So
Here's a 55-gallon drum of whoop ass, and the expiration date is tomorrow. Gotta use it.
yeah. And the expiration date is in your face.
Yes.
Yeah.
Put that right on the side of the barrel. You
So-
know, for disclaimer purposes.
Yeah. So yeah, overall, fun game.
Such a
it's
good time.
It's a me thing that I have trouble with it, but it's just because I get frustrated with games I'm not good at, but the games are short, so you can get in and out pretty quickly. You can, play a couple games in an hour, and it's all team based too. So there's no like individual competition. You're always going to be part of a team, and it just gets crazy. It's
Such a good time.
Yeah, it's
That's part
really,
of the fun. It's so bonkers.
Yeah, it really is impressive what they've done with this game. Especially adding that destructibility.
Yes.
I think it works.
And who
well.
doesn't love a conspiracy cat?
Yeah.
I mean, who doesn't love that? It's such a good time and done well, conceived well, executed well, and free. Like that's just I mean, I put that out to anybody. I mean, sometimes you get what you pay for, but this is literally one of those cases where they've done right by what they've put out,
Yeah.
and they've made it accessible to everybody. And I mean, honestly, I haven't heard a bad word about it. Like I know people. I mean, there's certain things. I think there's some DLCs that need to come into play to kind of fine tune some points. But as a whole, like I haven't heard anybody sit there and go, "Well, this just sucks." Where it's literally just been a halt and catch fire, where it's like, "Nope, shut that down."
Yeah.
It is very much just a good time, and because the missions are quick, you can play it more sporadically, and just it's so much fun, so in your face, and yeah, it's a ride. Like, hang
Yeah.
on.
Yeah. All right. I think that about covers that. So
I think we went into it a little.
yeah, a little bit. Yeah, I think we've covered quite a bit. But all right, everyone, if you like what you've heard and would like to help us out, a couple of ways you can do that without having to spend a dime is you can give us a review over on Apple Podcast. You can follow my Twitch and or the YouTube channels for our live recordings. We start recording at Sunday night, starting at 9:15 Eastern time is when we start the pre-show. Or you can become one of our patrons at patreon.com/ptgcast. And we'd like to thank our board member, Stephanie Hurst. Thank you for supporting us. We really do appreciate it. If you'd like to contact us, you can with our email, parttimegamers.cast@gmail.com, or we have a Discord channel now, Caffeine Induced Productions Discord channel. You can find the we'll get into that. Anyways, everyone, thank you for listening. Please join us next week. We're not going to be talking about a game next week. We're going to be doing our monthly game nights. Last Sunday of the month, it's time to play a game. And we're going to be going back to Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes. So if you'd like to take part in that, you don't have to download the game. I'm going to be the one that needs the game. I already have it. I will put a link in our Discord. You will have to download a bomb manual. So, but if you want to take part in this, you have to be on our Discord. That's where we're going to be holding it. So that's going to be next Sunday night. Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes. I'm Sean. You can find the show and the rest of my work and the links to my socials, including our Discord channel, my Twitch, links to my Twitch and YouTube channels, and the Apple Podcast listing using the link bit.ly/CI Productions. You can find Ember's work at 9of12.com, NINEOF12.com, including her newest show, Tipple Theory, with Sean Weiland. Theo, where can people find you around the internet?
Lurking in dark corners. No, they can,
That's a given.
both online and in the world.
Yeah.
They can find me on swellcast.com under It's That One Weirdo. Should be making my way back to Rabbit and Red Radio soon. There's been hit or miss on that, so that's one of those that's like, hey, it happens, it don't. And I will be relaunching. I've been muddling with this for a while. I'll be relaunching the video station, hopefully in a week or two.
Cool.
Very excited.
Yeah. Awesome.
The finals, do it.
Yeah. All right, everyone. Thank you for listening. And until next time, we are the Part-Time Gamers clocking out.